Chapter 2. That night, I lay on my cot beside the Queen's grand bed. The Queen had left hours before to be with the King. The fact that she hasn't come back yet tells me exactly what she's up to. Better this way. I'll have some peace and quiet. Water all around. That's all I see. My lungs begging for a wisp of air. I try to swim up, but I can't seem to get anywhere. Unable to resist the urge to breathe, I open my mouth, but all I get is water. A scream escapes me and a rush of bubbles as my vision goes black. My eyes snap open to the pitch-black room of the royal bedchambers. Sitting up, my body reflexively gasps for air, like I'm still in the dream. It's been a reoccurring dream for the last 10 years. Pushing my sweat-soaked hair out of my eyes, I stumble out of the bed. Not caring I am still barefoot and in my nightclothes, I go out into the halls of the castle. This is almost a nightly thing. It was so normal, no one, not even the guards, stopped me as I left the castle. Not caring about the cold winter wind swirling around me, I wandered the royal gardens. It's the most beautiful place in the whole castle. The flowers here are the only place the king's touch hasn't ruined them. On the queen's insistence, of course. She has an eye for pretty things. At least I agree with her on this. Cold or not, the winter flowers look lovely in the pale moonlight. Ignoring the bitter bite of the cold on my bare feet and legs, I close my eyes and walk the familiar garden paths. The soft soil of the path muffles my footsteps as I walk. It's soothing to have something solid beneath my feet, chasing away the nightmares. Sighing as my nerves settle, I stroll towards the center of the gardens where my favorite flowers grow. Small flowers called verbenas bloom here all year long. A soft violet color, much like my eyes are. I have an affinity for these little guys, so tough and pretty and different. A small smile tugs at my reluctant lips. Few things bring a true smile to me anymore, but these flowers pull one out of me every time. Reaching past the thorny vines of the flowery bush, I cup the violet blossom in my hand, carefully stroking the silk-soft petals. "Hey, what are you doing here?" A deep voice cuts through me, scrambling up my newly settled thoughts. Letting the flower go, I yank my hand out of the bush and whirl around. The prince sits on a stone bench a few feet across the garden square from me. I must have been so lost in my thoughts I didn't notice him sitting there until he spoke up. Why didn't he make himself known when I first got here? My facade of the obedient servant falls into place as I drop to my knees. "Pardon me, your highness, I didn't see you there. In the shadows, I sigh again. The soft rustle of his clothes lets me know he's moved. Strong fingers grip my chin like a vice, pulling my face up, just like at the well, but, not grabbing my hair. Making first eye contact, we lock eyes for several seconds. But it's changed so much from the past right now, so close. I see his eyes haven't changed. My mask cracks in the face of my old best friend, and I glare openly at him, like I used to. Maybe it's my imagination, but I swear the ice melts from his gaze just for a moment before both our walls slam back up, and he releases me with a shove backwards. "You never answered my question," he grumbled, seemingly less hostile than before. "What are you doing out here?" Scrambling to my feet, I watch the ground as I respond. "Just a walk, your highness," I respond, trying to sound meek and not let my tongue free. "A walk," he said as he glared at me, barefoot and in a nightgown. "He used to do the same thing as a kid. I got it from him." "Oh, well," I dig around for an excuse. I lent my coat and shoes to another servant on the night shift." "Yeah," I finished lamely, cursing myself for that absolutely lame lie. Quirking a disbelieving brow at me, he looks away and mumbles something I hardly believe I hear. "You're still a terrible liar." "Still? No way he said that. He can't be referring to our childhood." I'm sure he's just calling me a liar. Trying to brush it off, I bow my head. "I apologize again for disturbing you, your highness. I'll take my leave." Glancing sideways at me, he scoffs with a dirty look. God, it's like that sour look is permanently stuck on his face. "Go already. You're as pale as a ghost from the cold." He isn't wrong. The winter weather has sapped the color from my skin. Bowing, I hastily walk back inside, towards the queen's bedchamber. Is it just me, or is it the prince acting different? I mean, he's still cruel, but not as cruel? Or is it just my hopeful imagination? I got to stop caring what he thinks. He's not my friend anymore. He's not the boy who rescued me. The cold finally hits me full force and I shiver uncontrollably as I curl up in my cot. No more stupid, wistful thinking, I vow to myself as I slip into sleep. Rising with the sun the next morning, I fetch the queen's breakfast as usual before she dismisses me to go to the prince. I can't help but hesitate at the door. Yes, it's my duty as his personal servant to wake him in the morning, but that doesn't mean I want to. Don't want to wake the wrath along with him after all, but I must. Nodding to the guards on duty, I slip inside the rapidly lightening room. The queen must have let him know I was coming on, or these guards would have never let me in. Going around the oversized bed, I yank the window curtains back, flooding the room with early dawn light. A heavy groan from under the feather pillows brings a smile to my face. Never been a morning person, the prince, even now. Silently moving around the room, I set the prince's breakfast on the nightstand, then wait in a corner for him to wake or issue further orders. Sitting up slowly, the prince pushes his messy bedhead out of his eyes. When he sees me, the sleepy fog in his eyes dissipate and is replaced with shock. The hell? You're not Irma? Frowning in confusion, I look up from the floor at him. Irma, your highness? I ask slowly. Yes, Irma, my personal servant. Glaring wide-eyed at me, he pulls the thick winter covers up higher to himself. Oh, the queen must have not informed you? Informed me of what? He snaps. I am your personal servant now? The queen assigned me here. Confusion squirms under my mask. I guess the queen just, I don't know, forgot? Grumbling irritably, he gets out of bed. Suppose I can't argue. Mother won't move on this decision. He mutters to himself before looking over to me. Well, if you're to be my servant from now on, you might as well learn my routine. All morning, he briefs me on what he does every day and when, until I know the schedule forwards and backwards. It's annoying, he won't leave me alone until I know it. Still, I have to admit it's helpful. By noon, we are in the training grounds. Beside the garden, the training ground is a great place to be. Willow trees circle the yard, shielding the men waiting for a turn in the pit or the people just watching like me. The pit is a loose, round ditch, about the size of a large table. Obviously, wrestling and sparring happens here. On the left side of the grounds is where the weapons, any you can think of, are kept. On the right is where new recruits are drilled and trained. I know it's unladylike of me to like fighting and weapons and all, but still, why can't I? A woman should be able to defend herself just as well as any man. As a kid, I remember sneaking out here to spar with my best friend, like I do now to the gardens. I still come out here when I am sure no one will come, though. I don't know how to describe it exactly. The flowers are calming, but there's something about sweating off the day's constant frustrations by running and swinging weapons that's different. Kind of like the effect of venting. Watching the prince sparring with the weapons master, I can hardly see the match over all the admiring soldiers. The prince is gruff, but his matches are entertaining. Determined to see, I hike my long wool dress to my knee in one hand. Catcalls echo at me as the men look over, but they are ignored. Tucking the hem of my dress into my simple leather belt, I disregard the encouraging and increasing stares at my exposed skin and quickly scaled the nearest stray tree. Standing on a high branch, I gripped the one above me for balance. Ha! I could finally see the fight! Just in time, too. Another soldier has jumped into the match, and the circle the prince with wide grins. Completely unruffled, the prince takes on the soldier first, parrying his clumsy attacks and slamming the butt of his sword against the soldier's armored head, effectively dazing him and shoving him out of the ring. Ooh, I groaned along with the rest of the crowd in sympathy for the poor soldier. That had to hurt. Now it's just the prince and the weapons master. Back and forth they go, trading blows, blocking, defensive, offensive, over and over. A dopey grin is all over my face. So cool! Why wouldn't Gid be able to join? Finally, the prince's leg flashes out and trips the weapons master out of the pit, winning the match. I can't help cheering along with the crowd. Sparring matches bring the child out of me. I can't help it. The young soldiers crowd around the prince, asking questions on his fighting skills. After a while, he excuses himself and comes to the base of my tree. How do you know I was here? Get down here already, he calls up to me, different than normal. No yelling. just impatience. Slipping down the tree, I land lightly before the prince. Because of his change in attitude and against my better instinct, I let the mink squeak and my voice drop, talking the way I normally would, clear and fearless. My apologies, Your Highness. Surprise echoes across his eyes at my act, or at least a part of it, drops. What were you doing up there, scurrying like a little rodent and hooting along with the men? His voice was heavy with sarcasm, but not unkind. Strange. As he brings up my uncontained cheering, blood rises to my face. Oh, excuse my unladylike behavior, Your Majesty. I tried to keep my sarcasm out of my own voice. Unlike him, I must. I was watching your match and I got caught up with the excitement. I swear an amused look flashes, but I gotta be wrong. I see that. His eyes widen suddenly as he looks at me fully, then turns his back to me with a rough, "Make yourself decent, then go fetch my lunch." He strides off in the direction of the Royal Library. Make myself decent? What is he? Oh, I forgot to pull my dress out from my belt. Yanking the rough fabric free, a snicker slips past my guard. If I didn't know better, I would say the prince was a little frazzled at my exposed skin. Dusting the dirt off myself, I go to the kitchen to retrieve the lunch. It's a fancy thing just for lunch. Looking like pork, I don't know. The prince is acting off. I don't know. Softer? Not kind, and not mean either. Shaking my head, I climb the wide staircase to the library at the heart of the castle. The doors are already open, so I know the librarian and the prince inside are waiting for me. Following the low voice I hear, I find the prince discussing a book series I haven't heard of. The almost childlike look of joy on his face takes the darkness from his features, making him look like the boy I knew 7 years ago. The sound of my footsteps makes the prince look up, both our guards slamming into place to hide our mutual expressions. Lunch, Your Highness, I say quietly, refusing to pretend to be weak anymore. Around him, at least. Setting the tray down, the prince pulls it to him wordlessly, eating ravenously. Hungry from training, I guess. Who wouldn't be, though? Taking my spot in the corner, I stare out the stained glass window. The quiet is so complete and peaceful. I could get used to this. Until a low, grumbling sounds out and I cringe. Demirda, stomach. I guess I forgot to eat last night. Praying to the gods the prince is too focused on his lunch to notice, I hold my breath. Once again, the gods decide not to answer my prayers. The prince stops mid-chew and looks over at me. Crossing my arms, I try to pretend it didn't happen, refusing to meet his hard stare. Hungry? He asked. I ignored the spark of amusement in his voice, even if I was secretly glad to hear it. No, I say quickly, adding, No, Your Highness. There just must be mice quarreling in the walls. A chuckle that sounds like it has been used in years sounds out. Mice? Didn't know mice were that loud. Well, they are large mice, I retort with a thoughtful smirk before catching myself and nullifying my expression again. I can't believe it. I was bickering playfully with the prince, just like old times. I frowned. Stop at dusk. These aren't the old times. There are no old times anymore. Get a hold of yourself. Well, the prince said slowly, if the mice are hungry, they are welcome to this, he said, pushing the half-eaten lunch away from him. He was offering to share his lunch with me. A small piece of my stone-encrusted heart cracks somewhere in the face of this single kindness. Moving away from the window, I hesitantly sit down on the chair across from him, eyeing the food. The mice are hungry, Your Highness. Seeming to sense my tension, the prince gets up and goes a distance away to browse the books, leaving me alone with the food. I can't help feeling grateful that he left instead of watching me like someone else might. Pulling the tray closer, I dig in quickly before anyone could see me and stop me. Oh yeah, I was right. It's pork. A creamy butter sauce seasons my taste buds so a small noise of content gets past the meaty bone I'm cleaning. Setting the plate aside, I glance over at the prince. His eyes are still fixed on the bookshelves, but I could tell he was listening. Standing, I pick up the tray and walk towards the exit. As I pass the prince, I pause just long enough to say, Thank you, Your Highness. Barely audible. I don't know if he heard me until I am almost out of the library. You're welcome. Shocked to a stop, mid-step, and taking a sharp breath. Maybe this new job won't be so bad after all.